some really interesting people that are inducting into the Hall of Fame tonight, and I think you're going to have a really good time with them. At this time, I'd like to introduce our master of ceremony for the evening, high school principal Christopher Mastrangelo. Chris?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to take you through the night. We had a wonderful afternoon today with some of our inductees having lunch at the high school and then having an opportunity to speak to about 100 of our students. And honestly, I don't know who's more excited, the inductees or the students. I think both groups got a lot out of it. I certainly enjoyed listening. At this point, before I bring up one of our current students to sing the national anthem, I would like everybody to please rise, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask that you remain standing. I invite Kayla Ortiz, a graduating senior in the Malden High School class of 2024, and she has graciously volunteered to share her beautiful talent, which is her voice, to sing the national anthem tonight. So.
Oh, say, can't you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
I believe at this point we're going to move in, we're going to have the mayor come up, Mayor Gary Christensen, to give a greeting from the city.
So next time, Chris, have me go before Kayla. How about it one more time for Kayla? So those who have been wondering what is the state of Malden High School and the Malden Public Schools only need to look to her and the amazing class of 2024. So good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Gary Christensen, Mayor of the City of Malden. And Lenny Iovino told me my role tonight is to welcome you, and that's it. So he has seen me speak before, and that's why he said specifically, just welcome everyone. So I'm going to stick to Lenny's edict, but in addition to welcoming you all, I really also want to say thank you for helping to make Malden the great city it is today. I especially want to thank Lenny for organizing tonight's event with the rest of the board. When I first learned that Lenny was looking for me, I thought for sure it had to be over a recent school committee vote or there was something wrong with his retirement account. But what this says about Lenny and the rest of the board is that after all they have achieved in their careers, you know, they simply could have moved on to something else. And the fact that they're right back here, given the Malden High School and the Malden Public Schools, says a lot about him and them, and I think we owe all of them a big round of applause. And the same goes for tonight's inductees. I want to thank them as well. Typically at this point I would say congratulations, but I think thanking them would be equally appropriate. From the military to the business to community service to education, they have all left an indelible mark at Malden High School and our community which continues to be felt today. Now, it's only fitting that we're meeting here tonight because just 2 days ago, we went to the State House to commemorate Malden's 375th birthday. And I would encourage all of you, if you haven't had a chance, if you go to YouTube and pull up Malden State of the City Address 2024, you'll see a look back on all that has gone on in our community over those years. We also have a page dedicated to this historic birthday at cityofmalden.org/375. But the reason I bring that up is because the contributions that we're celebrating here tonight will only add to that rich history and our motto, which is strong past, proud future. Again, welcome and thank you for all you have done for our city.
Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center is dedicated in his honor to his significant contributions. Norman was also very active in public education, specifically in and around Malden, and he was a member of FAME, which is the Foundation for the Achievement of Malden Education. Norman graduated from Malden High School in 1954, received a Bachelor's of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from Tufts University in 1958. From 1961 to 1962, Norman served as lieutenant in the United States Air Force in Europe. Norman served as a trustee at Tufts University, was the board that oversees Tufts College of Engineering, trustee and treasurer of the French Library of Cultural Center in Boston, the vice president of the Boston Center of Adult Education, and the director of the Boston Lyric Opera. Many students, he helped many Malden students by organizing and implementing the Adopt a Classroom program for the Malden schools. Norman made a lifelong commitment to others and always reached out to help the people of Malden and beyond whenever he could. Thankfully, our next recipient is here with us tonight, and that was Jordan Shapiro from the class of 1960. Jordan is being inducted tonight in the field of business. He's a graduate, as we said, of Malden High School in the class of 1960 and a graduate of Boston University 1964, the law degree in 1966. Jordan is a senior partner in the former Shapiro Legal Group, successor to Shapiro, and Hender. He's a co-author of the Massachusetts Collection of Law, a best-selling 2-volume treatise on bankruptcy and creditors' rights written for lawyers and published by the world's largest law book publishing company. Past president of the Middlesex County Bar Association, past president of the Massachusetts City Solicitors and Town Council Association, past president of the Malden Kiwanis Club, past master of the Mount Scopius Lodge of Masons, past president of the Malden Chambers of Commerce, and the city solicitor for the city of Malden from 1980 to 1998. Please help me welcoming Jordan Shapiro to the stage.
I just got to get through this without crying. I inherited from my mother the ability to cry about anything happening. I'm going to do my best. So, my children forbid me to do my stand-up comedy routine that I used to do. So I'll avoid that today, but I'll still tell you a little bit about my life in Malden, my 80 years after being born in Malden Hospital 80 years ago in 1943, and my pleasure in enjoying the city of Malden has been so good to me all my life. So, but before I do that, I want to thank a couple of people. So first I have to thank Frank Wright, who is here tonight, who actually, his first job was working for me in 1985 in City Hall when I was the city solicitor. He came to me and he parlayed his work in the City Hall Malden into becoming the city solicitor in Somerville, from which he recently retired, and he did a very lengthy analysis of everything good about me that I ever could imagine, and nominated me for the award tonight. So thank you, Frank, for joining me, and a dear friend forever. Next thing I have to do do is thank the selection committee for working so hard. I was on this committee for about 10 years and enjoyed picking some of our famous graduates from Malden. Norman Greenbaum was in my high school. Norman Greenbaum, The Spirit in the Sky. Some of you never heard of The Spirit in the Sky, but that was my classmate. And so very happy to have, I was privileged to work in that job and finding a lot of great candidates for the Malden Hall of Fame in those years. And so I got a call from Ellie Cushing not too long ago. Ellie is the chairperson of the selection committee for many years that I worked with. She said, Jordan, I have bad news and good news. I said, what's the bad news? She said, you're fired. I said, I've never been fired from anything that I can remember. What did I do wrong? She said, you've been nominated for the committee. So I was thrilled and shocked, and not usually at a loss for words, but I was a loss for words for that. But in any event, I've known Ellie forever. When she was a city councilor in Malden, she's a sweetheart and a dear friend forever. Now, let me just see. So, you can hear from my resume that I didn't waste much time in my life. I enjoy serving nonprofits and charitable organizations. I think it's very important that everybody gets involved with serving charities and nonprofit organizations. I'm here with my 4 sons, and they are beautiful, lovely wives. My son Burton and his wife Charlene. My son David and his lovely wife Dale. My son Robert and his lovely wife And I have a 4th son, who's Jay, who's in Ohio, and so he's not with us tonight. But I'm blessed with my 4 wonderful sons. I had 4 sons under 5 years old, and the only problem with bringing up 4 sons under 5 years old is when 3 of them want to hold your hand at the same time. Other than that, it was easy bringing up these. I'm blessed with such wonderful children. And they all went to Malden Public Schools, by the way. They all graduated from Malden Public Schools, and then they had 18 years of college education after that, and I was really upset because in those days it cost me the outrageous amount of about $20,000 a year to go to college. And so those were the days. And my son David, of course, graduated with our mayor, Gary Christensen, when he was he didn't talk about it tonight, but Gary Christensen was the president of his high school class, and my son David and Gary are still dear friends. And so I thought you'd like to know that. So I have 3 beautiful grandchildren that I thought were going to be here tonight. My grandson, I can't believe I'm that old. I have a grandson who's just been admitted last week into a great medical school. So I'm looking forward to have a doctor in my family someday. I grew up with lawyers. My father was a lawyer. My big brother went to Harvard Law School. And so I knew when I was a kid I was going to be a lawyer. As I tell people, everybody hates lawyers, but whenever you're in trouble, the first person you call is your lawyer. Don't you? And so I'm here today with my grandson Evan I talked about. My granddaughter Hannah is here, graduated from Northeastern today. So I'm pleased to have. And then I have my 11-year-old beautiful Rachel, who's here tonight also. She's a very athletic, musical actress and very smart, like her grandmother. That's what I said about her. No, she's mommy and daddy, beautiful girl. And so when I'm talking about a grandmother, I can't help but rave about my beautiful wife, my beautiful, smart, easygoing, lets me get away with a lot of stuff, very easygoing lady, and beautiful wife Diane. And so she's always been my cheerleader, and she's always been loving and encouraged me to do everything. And I know my kids hate me when I tell this joke. We've been married for 59 happy years. That's 59 happy years. That's 19 for her and 5 for me. Just a joke, just a joke. My kids hate that joke, but I couldn't help it. And so, some of my favorite activities growing up is, there's a little blurb in the booklet about some of my activities, but one of my favorite activities that really didn't get much publicity during my life is I was the co-manager of a Little League baseball team for kids 8 to 12 years old. And even though I knew nothing about baseball and my team was lousy, I think we lost every game. I met the nicest kids in the world and the nicest parents in the world. So I encourage you all to be involved with Malden Little League baseball. Another fun thing that I did that I don't talk about very much, although a lot of you know that, I was the pianist for the Malden Library Trivia Night for about 20 years. And Ron Cox and City is always very active. A lot of you were there at every Malden Trivia Night. We had about 300 people. And I would play a couple of notes and I'd say, name that tune. I don't know why you don't remember that. The great TV show would name that tune we did. The contestants would name a song in 5 notes or 8 notes or 3 notes. But that was a lot of fun for me. And so the other thing that you saw in my little resume that the principal just talked to you about is my involvement with a lot of charities. And so I was involved with a lot of charitable and nonprofit organizations in my life, which I enjoy serving and which I encourage everybody to do when you have some spare time. And so I've been very happy that I was never the president of MATV, but I know the representative of MATV here when I was on the board for many, many years. I was also in my temple. I'm very active. Some of my members of my temple are here tonight. And again, there's all those different organizations that obnoxiously long resume of my past presidencies. But I know whenever I finish a year, everyone is always happy to say, boy, am I glad you're a past president. I don't know what they meant, but I think it was kind of a compliment. But in any event, so I just want to also thank the colleagues. I'm very appreciative of my colleagues in my office that are here tonight. Eric and his lovely wife Rachel are here. Mike is here with his friend Jackie, and so they're here. And I'm very happy that they're here because I appreciate their gratitude for all that. And Danielle, I can't forget my dear partner forever since 1998, I think. Yes, 1998. She became my law partner and my dear friend and colleague forever. Everybody in the world who knows Danielle loves her. She's the nicest lady in the world. And so she's still working in the firm, but not every day. We still have her helping us in every other issue. So I do want to thank the Malden High School alumni, again, for all you do and for all the wonderful and totally unexpected award tonight. Before I leave, I got to read something very short, a short little reading, then I'm going to quit. Life is a task that we do ourselves every day. When you look, it's already 6 at night. When you look, it's already Friday. When you look, the month is over. When you look, the year is over. When you look, 50, 60, 70, and 80 years have passed. I can't believe that 80 years have passed for me. So do not doing, this is a reading from somebody else, I didn't write it. Do not stop doing something you love due to lack of time. I'm sorry. All right, do not stop doing something you love due to lack of time. Unfortunately, time never returns. Your day is today. We are no longer in an age to postpone anything. Live your life to the fullest every single day. I hope you all got that attitude. Thank you so much.
Our next inductee is in the field of government. I'd like to welcome to the Hall of Fame class of 2024, Neil Anderson from the class of 1962. Anybody knows Neil knows that together we can make a difference is his mantra. He has stuck to that through his time in city government. He has an unrelenting drive to make the city of Malden a better place, and he has well-deserved respect from his constituents and his colleagues. During his tenure in the Malden City Council, Neil was selected as City Council President 3 times. While on the City Council, Neil helped to improve infrastructure of the city, and he worked to renovate Miller Park. As the only minority member of the City Council, Neil worked tirelessly to promote inclusion and understanding among the city's diverse population. Whether acting as the master of ceremonies at the Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon or addressing monthly meetings of the Malden Rotary and Malden Kiwanis, Neil's message consistently emphasizes the importance of cultural sensitivity and racial harmony. Currently serving as the Harbor Master of the Malden River, his ongoing service to the city of Malden never relents. Together we can make a difference has driven him to our stage tonight. Please help me welcome Neil to the stage.
Thank you, Mr. Mastrangelo, Chris, and thank you all for being here. This is a hard act to follow that Jordan Shapiro. Jordan, I don't have joke like you do. Would you say thank you? So I don't have much to say this evening. difficult for a politician to be standing here and saying that I don't have very much to say. What I want to say, though, is that the people that are here today with me, the people that equally should enjoy and celebrate this induction that I'm going through into this Hall of Fame, because it was the folks that have been here supporting me all these years in my time in government that were there on the front lines. And when you think about it, what's going on right now in our nation, where there's this issue of trying to suppress activity in government, suppress the vote, keeping people away from the institutions of our government, and these folks here who have been doing things in the community. So would you please join me in thanking all these folks from the Ward 7 Association who have been, would you please stand with me, please? Come on now, all of you who worked with me over these many years. Who have made me a better public servant as a city councilor. I was saying earlier to the students at Malden High School, we had an opportunity to have a luncheon, and some of us were able to tell our story to these seniors in the high school. And I was saying that I didn't really find my direction, my compass, until after I got out of high school. After I went into the Navy and traveled around the world, spent a couple of years aboard an aircraft carrier, have been to, during the Vietnam War, went to France, Italy, Spain, Malta, Japan, Hong Kong, and the Philippines, and I went all around the world and saw people living in poverty. Saw people, the young people who were struggling, some young girls who were prostituting in their early age, and recognized that, but for the grace of God, it could be my own family doing that. And so when I came back to after service in the military, my idea was to find a way to be involved in helping people grow, helping people come out of their issues of poverty and moving into the mainstream of life. And it had happened at a time, 1968, when we were in the midst of the civil rights movement. And so as a black person coming back to the United States in 1968, getting involved in government was the perfect place for me to try to make an impact on my life. It was at that point that I thought that the idea of working with the community, working with people, working together, we could move things forward. We established as our motto, together we can make a difference. And so these folks who stood up with you here today were with me making a difference. So once again, a round of applause for them. My biggest supporters, of course, was my family. And sitting here at this table is my wife, Paula, who hated politics. Still does, she tells me. My daughter, Christy, who is a guidance counselor at the high school, who's been following along with me. My sister, Jo, and her husband, Milton, who... Jo was for those of you who remember back in the days when we had large bands at the high school and majorettes. Jo was the head majorette of her class of 1966. And my grandson, Miguel, and my granddaughters that are here. So these are the folks who have been my rock and my support in doing the things that we tried to do over these many years. So as I mentioned, I wasn't going to say an awful lot, but I just wanted to say thank you to the Alumni Association for nominating me, For a guy that came out of school with C's and D's on my report card, 60 some odd years later to be honored, inducted into the Hall of Fame is a great honor. I'm thrilled with that. I thank you all for being here this evening, and thank you for this honor. And I'm going to sit down.
As I said to the students at the high school today, Neil Anderson brought a lot to the city of Malden, but what we're most appreciative at the high school is his daughter Chrissy, who does an incredible job for us, helping so many students in the school counseling and guidance department. So I thank you personally for that. The next inductee is from the class of 1960. His name is Paul Seawarder. He is here, and he's been inducted posthumously tonight, but we do have his sons Paul and Steve here. We have a short bio and followed by a short video to talk about some of the work that Paul did. And he's being inducted in the field of science. Paul graduated from Malden High School in 1960. His education was in liberal arts as an English major. However, Paul was passionate about ocean life and outer space and decided to pursue these interests. Paul began as a volunteer at the New England Aquarium in 1969 and went on to become the curator of fish and mammals at the Boston Aquarium until 1988. Paul was also the curator of the New York Aquarium in Brooklyn starting in 1988. He volunteered time on the board at the Cotting School in Lexington, Mass. as a school that enables students with special needs to achieve their highest learning potential and level of independence. Paul was a member of the board of directors at the People's Museum in New York, which serves people with special needs. Paul was the author of several books, including The Story of Hoover and Talking. Those lights go down anymore. He's going to be in trouble. Talking Seal and Stranded, a novel about the search for understanding why whales beach themselves. As an avid outdoor space enthusiast, Paul was given the award from NASA for his work related to the Space Shuttle Students Involvement Program. And he was also the founder and executive director of Gotham Whale in Staten Island, New York, a nonprofit citizen scientist organization. And the mission of Gotham Whale is to research and educate about and advocate for marine mammals. We're going to step aside. We have a short video, and after the video, we would invite Paul and Steve to come up to accept their dad's award.
Prior to 2010, 2011, whales came through on occasion, but primarily whales were not in the New York area. And now they are. Do you want my full uniform?
Sure.
There we go. I got the full uniform. I have always been interested in things in the ocean. I was curator at the New York Aquarium for 21 years. Prior to that, I was up in Boston as curator of fishes and mammals for 19 years.
My dad working at the aquarium was just something that we were very used to. I saw my dad working, but it was something that he enjoyed, and we enjoyed it with him, and it was just always around us.
As I said, I was working on marine mammals around New York after I retired from the New York Aquarium. I say that the whales came to me.
So my dad was extremely passionate about his work, always learning. He surrounded himself with a lot of people with knowledge, and he fed off of that.
I worked probably harder and more hours than I did when I was working. Well, I like the idea of building something, and we're trying to build Gotham Whale up to where it really can make a difference.
He loved to educate anybody. What I also learned with Dad is to explore what's right around your current area. I mean, when he was living in New York, the waters were very dirty, but he watched them clean up. He saw that it was happening before his eyes.
I just think that this intersection of humans and wildlife is so well illustrated by whales around New York. You know, again, our skyline in the background, whales in the foreground, just amazing.
I've been thinking a lot about some of the things, the life lessons from Dad, and you know, a lot of them come to mind is do the best you can, and that's the best you can do.
We have the means to moderate or work at making that connection of wildlife and humanity peaceful and enjoyable. So that's my storyline. Sticking to it.
Paul and Steve to the podium to accept his award on his behalf.
Oh, it's kind of tough watching that video and getting her speaking about Dad. Oh, forgive me. What can I say about policies where everybody's looking at me like, where's this guy from? I'm from Kentucky. So, but Paul Seasworth was a wonderful man. And one thing that all the people so far have talked about is passion. And I'm sure all the rest of the inductees will talk about passion. When you follow your passion in life, you never work. It's never a job. It's what you do, what you live for. And that's what my dad did. He was passionate about marine mammals. He wanted to educate the rest of the world and keep the waters clean, keep the water safe for the whales and the rest of the marine mammals. So this award is a big honor. I understand how much it would have meant to him. He's here with us tonight. I can feel his presence. So thank you, thank the committee, and thank the I just thank everybody for this award. It's amazing.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Alumni Association. Sorry to get you with that video. It was very emotional to me. One of his volunteers made that not less than a week ago, and I thought it was fitting to show tonight. So obviously a couple of things that my dad taught me is, like Neil said, family and friends. Everyone here tonight is amazing. His class of 1960 welcomed me into their class reunion. I went with Dad and saw Jordan play his piano. It was really something else. And you know, making new friends with his friends has always been something that's really fitting for me. I came here a couple of years ago to the inductee for Norman Greenbaum. I was here for that along with Ron Cox. And I believe, I'm sorry, who else was it? Yep, and the owner of this place, Albert. Sorry, Albert. But anyway, Norman was funny because I brought the yearbook, and Norman wrote in my dad's yearbook. He said, "To Paul C's worthless," and you know, that's the Malden humor in us, that we do a lot of sarcasm. But I called Norman out on that, and I said, "My dad's not worthless, and you know, he's priceless." His curiosity sent him to places like the Amazon jungle and hunting walrus in Alaska. That's the picture in that the picture there. And but for me, all the roads lead back to Malden. It's amazing to me how many people here, as Gary said, a strong past with a proud future. You know, my boys are here today. I'm seeing my baseball coach, Ethel Haskell. You know, Dave taught me how to play ball here. It's amazing, you know, Kim Baker here, she was taking care of my dad as a nurse with his cancer patient, and his friends are here today with us tonight. You know, Arthur and Helen Green, Paul Graham. These are childhood friendships that have lasted generations. And you know, I'm at my house in Malden, raising 4 generations, and I'm proud to be a Malden man.
With that, we're going to move on to our next inductee in the field of education, Dr. Charles Desmond from the class of 1963. Dr. Desmond was credited his success to his invaluable guidance and support that he received while attending the Daniels Elementary School in Malden. After graduating from Malden High School and Northeastern University, Charles, a Fulbright scholar by the way, earned his doctorate in instructional leadership from UMass Amherst. He worked for over 30 years at UMass Boston with a focus on student affairs and community collaboration. Dr. Desmond was part of many groups that created opportunity for urban youth. He also worked as a guidance counselor at Northeastern University's African American Institute and in the Boston Public Schools. In 2008, Governor Deval Patrick appointed him to the Board of Higher Education in Massachusetts, where within months he was appointed the chairman of policy and advisor to the governor. In 2016, Dr. Desmond was appointed chief executive officer I left my glasses on my desk at school. and then turning the lights down. To Inverson, where he helped establish programs in city schools for parents to open children's saving accounts to make opportunities for higher education more affordable. Dr. Desmond has been active in both civic and community organizations, including president of the Massachusetts chapter of the AARP, Board of Governors at Brown University, and the University of Cambridge College of Trustees, just to mention a few. He's also a recipient of the UMass Boston chapter of the NAACP 2020 Martin Luther King Jr. Living Legacy Award. He's also named one of Boston's 50 most influential people of color in higher education. Dr. Desmond served in the United States Army during the Vietnam War, where he's decorated with both the Bronze and Silver Star.
So it's so great to be here tonight with everyone, and I appreciate everyone that's here and for spending some time with us tonight among these wonderful people that we're recognizing for the major contributions that they've made to Malden, to the Commonwealth, to the country, and to the world. So I spent most of my life in academia, so we have a tendency of talking a lot. So I wrote everything down, because I can easily wander off into this. So what I sometimes say is, let me begin with brevity in mind. Lincoln's immortal remarks at Gettysburg span just 272 words, conveying profound meaning in 3 minutes. I aim for conciseness in my remarks tonight. I only have 313 words, and I'm hoping that I can get through it in less than 4 minutes. So, today I'm deeply honored by my induction into Malden High School Hall of Fame, alongside my beloved wife, Phyllis, who's sitting over here, who has been with me through so many ups and downs in my career and my profession, but I couldn't be where I am standing before you today without her guidance, support, and lots of love. I'm also here with my extraordinary gifted son, Tyler. Wave your hand, Tyler. I say that because he's a portfolio manager for Morgan Stanley, and if you need anyone to advise you how to put your money to good use, talk to Tyler. He can certainly help you. And he's with his lovely friend, girlfriend, I want to say. I don't want to over-push this thing, but we love Anna, and so I'm going to say his girlfriend, Anna. And she's just an absolutely lovely and miraculous person. We're so happy to she's here with us today. My remarkable, absolutely astounding nephew, Ken Desmond Jr., Judge, Judge Kenneth V. Desmond Jr. He's a BC law graduate and more credentials and accolades than I have, and that's saying something. I honestly do have a few things that I put on my resume. And of course, my absolutely lovely, wonderful, caring, and thoughtful sister-in-law, Marion. I'm the youngest of 10, so I can say that if it wasn't for Marion and Ken helping me many times along the way, again, probably wouldn't be standing with you here today, but we love you, Marion, and so thank you very much. I'm sorry Brother Ken couldn't be here with us in person, but I'm sure he's here with us in spirit.
Yes.
Nor would I be able to be here myself. So I stand before you with immense gratitude for your unwavering support, all of my family, my relatives as well who are in the room. Thank you very much for being here. So in 1963, as one only of a handful of black students in a class of over 500 students at Malden High, I couldn't have predicted the seismic changes that awaited me and our nation. This was the dawn of a social and racial revolution, forever changing America's fabric. Dr. King Jr.'s words still reverberate today, and if you think about what's happening in the world today, you'll understand what he was thinking when he said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." As America evolves, Mandela's wisdom also echoes. Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. The enduring belief in the American dream empowers us to overcome obstacles and to realize our potential. Reflecting on my personal journey, I see boundless potential within us all, a latent potential waiting to be unlocked, ignited, and propelled forward. Today, as we celebrate, let's not only revel in personal achievements, but also embrace our collective responsibility to champion equality, justice, and opportunity for all. Let's awaken to the reality that it's incumbent upon each of us to strive for a future where every individual can pursue their dreams, their American dreams. Achieving those dreams, in my opinion, will usher in an era of divine peace and eternal harmony. This is a responsibility that rests on our shoulders in this nation at this time. And many times people say that I'm somewhat of an American-centric type of a thinker, and I believe very strongly in this nation. I believe in the struggles that we've been through. I believe in the challenges that we've faced. I believe in the obstacles that lie before us as we grapple with them every single day. But this is a nation of amazing people.
Amen.
Absolutely amazing people. And what we put our minds to gets done. And I believe that in a town like Malden, and I was talking with the students today, this is not a town of affluent wealth where things come to us just simply because they're given to us. Everything that's achieved in Malden is because of people like the people sitting in this room today. We've worked for them. We've committed ourselves to them. We believe that these things that are important for all of us, and we've brought everyone together with us. This is our high school today, which we visited, the most diverse high school in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Just think about that. Just think about that. This is a state of millions of people, schools from the Berkshires to the Cape and Islands. Yet here in Malden, this school has done so much for so many. Myself was standing before you today just being one of a legion of people who could stand beside me in a long line of achievement that certainly we'd all be proud of. So to my fellow honorees tonight, I extend heartfelt congratulations to each and every one of you. Each of you has made essential contributions, lifting up our nation and strengthening our society. So with profound gratitude, I accept this honor and pledge to stand alongside you, working tirelessly with you for a future that's bright, stronger, more inclusive for generations to come. Thank you very much.
I want to add that the last check, Malden High School is the 17th most diverse high school in the country. Our next inductee is in the field of arts and music, a graduate of the class of 1979, Mr. Philip Bynum. Philip, a 1979 graduate of Malden High School, went on to the Berkeley School of Music and Arts. He studied music there, mainly in bass. He sent us a lovely video that we're going to watch in a second, but he will speak to the influence that so many people at Malden High School and Malden had on him in his career. He's a bass player and keyboardist. He also played cello. Philip is a 3-time Grammy nominee and the winner of an Emmy Award for his work in the soundtrack of the remake of Reefer Madness. Philip has toured the world and played in numerous recordings with artists such as Jeff Baxter, the Doobie Brothers, Dale and Terry Bozzio from the band Missing Persons, the Frank Zappa Band, Gary Sharon, Malden High School Alumni Hall of Famer, new band chord from Extreme, Brad Dell from Boston, Charlie Farron, Malden High School graduate, for the Joe Perry Project. I'm an unforgiving fan of the greatest rock and roll band in America, Journey, so I'm going to highlight this one. He worked with Steve Perry from Journey, so his stock just went up in my eyes. And Slash from Guns N' Roses. Philip continues playing and recording and touring. He is currently recording and releasing children's albums with 2 groups, PV and Deb and Jambo. Philip teaches at the LA Music Academy in Pasadena, California, where he shares with his students his passion for music while teaching bass and doing ensemble work. Since 2012, Philip has been touring with Stevie Vai and is presently on tour and cannot be here this evening. He did, however, send a video to speak of his acceptance. So we're going to move this again and we're going to show that.
Hello, esteemed guests, members of the Hall of Fame Committee, and my fellow inductees. It's an honor to be part of this celebration of Malden High alumni. First of all, I have to thank some very special people, for if not for their efforts, I wouldn't be speaking with you this evening. Peter Levine, Barbara Scrivelli, and Gary Sharon, a recent inductee himself. I am unable to attend this evening's events as I am currently on tour with Steve Vai, the guitarist, whom I've been playing and recording with since 1996. But my musical journey begins in Malden. My first public appearance was at Lincoln Junior High School at a fashion show with a band called the Soul Explosions. With my sister in the audience cheering me on, that lit a fire in me. All throughout my years in Malden Public Schools, starting at Daniel School, Lincoln Junior High School, and culminating at Malden High School, I had teachers who encouraged and challenged me to follow my dreams no matter what they might be. One that stood out was Miss Carol Blake. She was the director of the Malden High Jazz Band. I never missed a Thursday night rehearsal or a performance. She taught us many great lessons about how to be good musicians. Though I never got to thank her, before her passing in 2013, her letter of recommendation on my behalf to Berklee College of Music was key to my acceptance. Of course, I thank my parents. Their sacrifice and support allowed me to hone my skills as a musician. All 4 of my siblings also graduated from Malden High, and I share this honor with them. Being the youngest, they carved a path that I followed to be a good student. My younger years in Malden were some of my most cherished memories, whether it was going to Granada to see a movie, playing street hockey all day, or candlepin bowling on a weekend. It was always a fun time with friends. In closing, it's an honor to be recognized by my peers in my hometown. Though I've not been a Golden Tornado for many years, whether playing junior varieties, or the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, or playing the Malden High musical, or playing concerts at Disney Hall, or playing a school dance, or recording a movie soundtrack, my blood will always bleed blue and gold. Thank you, one and all.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to accept this award on behalf of my baby brother, Philip. Philip is a brilliant and gifted international artist who I'm blessed to call my dear friend. Philip generously shares his many talents with philanthropic endeavors in the United States and Mexico. Philip has co-created and co-produced with me music for my students, my theater performing arts students in Boston Public Schools for over 27 years, as well as my own creative projects. Philip's heart and beautiful spirit are just as big as his talent. Stay well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Our next inductee is in the field of government. This is James Barreto from the class of 1973. James is a 1973 graduate of Malden High School and received a Bachelor of Science degree and a degree of law from Suffolk University, graduating with honors. James served as both the appellate and trial divisions of the Middlesex County District Attorney's Office, and he's entered a very successful private practice partnering with Peter Bellotti. In 2010, Governor Deval Patrick took care of the Malden people. That's great to see. Appointed James the District Court Judge. He is presently the first Justice of the Peabody District Court. Having served as the District Court Education Committee for nearly 10 years, he shares his knowledge, skills, and techniques by lecturing to practitioners and fellow judges, and has also served as a lecturer in the court's annual judicial conference. He is the author of the legal thriller entitled Mystic World, published in 2022. For his first novel, he won both the National Indie Excellence Award and the American Fiction Award for a legal thriller. James attributes his success to the committed education from the Malden Public Schools, such as Lenny Iovino, Joanna Iovino, Arthur Marshall, Gloria Schlumberg, and Sam Fishman, to name a few.
First, of course, I'd like to express my appreciation for Mr. Mastrangelo for that wonderful introduction. I have many people to thank, including among them the Alumni Association and the selection committee members for the confidence they've placed in me. I'd like to thank my family, my two sons, Christopher and Matt, who are here tonight, my brother, David, who is here tonight, and of course, some of you have met my wife, Luann, who has been my wife for 44 years. Somebody asked me today when we were speaking to the kids what Malden has meant to me. So if I may, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the Malden that I know. Malden, of course, is not one thing. It's many things to many people. For me, Malden is a single mother who raised two boys on welfare in public housing. If I'm to be honest, Malden was also tough times. It's a series of addresses, none of them ours, where we lived, often too briefly, before finding ourselves on Bowden Street in Suffolk Square. Those addresses included Lombard Court, which some of you may know no longer exists, Holyoke Street, Leland Street, Stevens Street, and unfortunately many others. I wasn't the poorest by any means, but I knew true lack. I wasn't the least among us, but I understood what people meant when they talked about the wrong side of the tracks. And preoccupied over a mother's illness, school wasn't always easy for me. But no matter our circumstances, I knew that education was the only way off of public assistance, the only way up, and the only way through. And I still believe that, and I always will. For me, Malden was also long-distance running, which likely saved me. Think about it. If you're running 75 to 100 miles a week, you couldn't be doing other things, none of them good. Up at 6 a.m., twice around the Forest Hill Cemetery. In the evening, climbing a chain-link fence topped by barbed wire to run crazy distances on a 6-lap to the mile track at a school that fortunately I couldn't afford to attend. He'll work on Central Avenue in Malden. I couldn't drive my car up Central Avenue in Malden today. And the list goes on. Malden was also dear friends
and later much valued mentors. I was blessed with many. Some of them are here tonight. Jack Guerin, who was the first, who started with next to nothing on Harvard Street, and today is a paragon of success. Emory Haskell, eventually Navy commander, attorney, Bronze Star recipient, fellow inductee. Judge Paul Kavanaugh, former First Justice of the Malden District Court, who brought me into the House of Representatives in 1974. Also contemporaries. Judge Lawrence Pierce, a distinguished judge on the Massachusetts Superior Court, who's here this evening, who has been with me since our earliest days in the District Attorney's Office in the early to mid-'80s. Perhaps most important, Malden is teachers. I told the students today that you're blessed if you find one teacher who truly believes in you, who will invest in you. I found two. And boy, did I test their patience in 1968. Their first year teaching at the Lincoln Junior High School. One is here tonight, Lenny Iovino, who has never left my side. Not once. Lenny taught me social studies and introduced me to government and put me on the path towards law. The other teacher is not here tonight, but sorely missed. The one who's no longer with us, Lenny's wife, the late Joanne Iovino, or Mr. Setter, as I once called her, taught me English, and we built it all from there. Joanne sitting with me throughout my high school years, throughout my college years, throughout law school. Still checking and correcting my papers, still teaching me the craft of writing. And today, because of her, I am still a grammar nerd. I'm still reading the classics or rereading what I should have read, and I'm still writing. Maybe you see a theme here. A loving mother, an extraordinary teacher, my wife Luann of 44 years, without whom none of this could possibly have happened. In my view, strong women make strong men. It's always been that way, and it always will be, and I just don't think we say it enough, and I wanted to say it tonight. Finally, after a mother's recovery, the sun came out for me in a big way, and there would be time for what I call the catch-up years. College, of course, as I mentioned, a job in the Massachusetts House of Representatives in 1974, a place that would open my eyes to possibilities I couldn't possibly see from Bowden Street. Then law school, being sworn in as an assistant district attorney or prosecutor in Middlesex County. Private practice and building a litigation firm for over 2 decades. The Attorney General's office, and then lightning would strike. In 2010, Governor Deval Patrick, who made history himself, swore me in as an Associate Justice of the Massachusetts District Court in the same House of Representatives chamber where I had served as an 18-year-old page. And now, after nearly 15 years on the bench, the last 10 of which as a first justice, mandatory retirement not terribly far off, I seem to have come full circle, home again, with the publication of my debut novel, Mystic Wind, a legal thriller, a labor of love, if you will. When I look at that book, I sometimes think that the real origin of that novel somehow began in Joanne Iovino's English class at Lincoln Junior High School in 1968. And while I'm humbled that it's received some national recognition, what I really treasure and cling to are early drafts of the original manuscript that contain Joanne's edits written in the margins in her pen, still guiding me with the same care and I would say love that she lent to me for nearly 50 years. Talk about teachers making a difference in a student's life. I smile and think of Joanne, the power of a single teacher, in my case, 2 amazing teachers, when I get emails and reviews from far-off places, the most recent of which is India. And I realize that's a long way from Bowdoin Street. When I think of it, all of this is. Thank you for this incredible honor.
Our next inductee is in the field of military, and is Mr. Emery Haskell from the class of 1973. Emery Haskell, 1973 graduate of Malden High School, received a Bachelor's of Science degree in History and Criminal Justice from Suffolk University in 1977. While serving in the Naval Reserve, Emery earned a master's degree in International Affairs and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Naval War College. In 1989, he earned his Juris Doctorate from the New England School of Law. Emery served 3 tours of duty in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. After completing active military service, Emery became attorney for FEMA, where he highlighted today the work that he did in rebuilding towns and areas of the state after devastating loss. In 2022, Emery retired from federal government service and was appointed by Mayor Christensen to be the fire commissioner for the city of Malden. Also, that same year, Emery was awarded the Bronze Star, the 4th highest naval award aboard the USS Constitution, for his meritorious service while serving the United States Navy. Please join me in welcoming Emery to the dais.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you this evening. I promised my wife I would keep these remarks short, and I will try to adhere to that. I want to thank the members of the Malden High Alumni Association board for extending this extraordinary honor to me. It's when I reflect back on all the people I knew in Malden and who attended Malden High, I couldn't help but feel that there were many, many worthy people. So to be up here this evening is an extraordinary honor. I also want to take a moment to identify a couple of extraordinary educators. Lenny Iovino has been a constant in my life for many, many years. Taught me how to do God work. By the way, I forgot. Elaine reaffirms it to me all the time. And Laurie Schulenberg, who I know Jimmy and I probably tormented her in her classroom on one occasion. I also want to say it's a tough act to follow Jimmy. He's such an eloquent speaker. So I an amazing author and a great friend. And to see Jackie Guerin out there too as well is really reaffirming. I want to take an opportunity to acknowledge my wife, Elaine, my son, Mark, my daughter, Kristen, my husband, Brooks, my 2 grandchildren, William and Maeve, my good friend, Kevin, for joining us here this evening. I just want to take a couple of minutes each time to reflect back upon what I feel is perhaps the formative period in my life, which is my attendance at Malden High. I learned a lot of things. I learned about perseverance and work ethic, and that it was important when you don't get it right to make sure you make the second effort to get it right. I also reflect back upon Malden High football, Coach Racka, some punishing days down at McDonald's Stadium, and I'm the good fortune, and I mean the good fortune of a lifetime, to have been a member of the U.S. Navy. And I tried to reflect back on what was the most defining moment. I can remember reporting to my first ship, and she was in the shipyard in Baltimore undergoing an overhaul. When I walked up to the ship, it was late in the afternoon, the early evening, and all these pneumatic hoses and electrical leads, and she was in dry dock, and it was a mess. And I walked up the brow. I was met with by this first-class machinist mate who was overweight, and but he did have his dress blues on. I'll give him that. And I looked around and I said to myself, "What the heck did you get yourself into?" And then the captain decided myself and another officer were going to be sent up to ride the USS Johnson, another ship of the same class, and we were supposed to go on a missile exercise to Bermuda. So I got my first port call was Bermuda, and it was a great time. But the cruise commenced in the back basin of the Philadelphia Navy Yard. I don't know if anybody's had the occasion to be down there, but it's an amazing sight. Ships berthed outboard of each other, really tight space, tight area to maneuver. And we came up to the bridge because we wanted to make an observation. I was an ensign. And I figured I need to get out of the way, so I went up onto the signal bridge, which is above the main bridge. And I sat there, and it was a beautiful day, the sun was out. And I'm watching the ship maneuver without tugs out of the space and to go down the Delaware River. And I said, buddy, you have just self-actualized. In very, very few occasions in life does that actually occur. So that was my great privilege to have a wonderful association with the U.S. Navy. And I guess the other thing that really reaffirmed a lot of things to me in life was being able to work as an attorney for FEMA. I guess when you see communities that are literally devastated, and whether, we're seeing it right now in the Midwest, some of the floods out west, impacted communities across the country, you realize that these are people who are clearly in need. They need resources, they need understanding, they need support. And bureaucracies aren't necessarily designed to be responsive as they mature. As they mature, they become more programmatic, more focused, and the limiting factor is always money, because there's never really enough to put back all the pieces. But I share this with you because as an attorney, one of the things I was able to do was to advocate, which I thought was very, very important. When I speak in terms of advocacy, you go into a lot of small communities, you got 5 people in town hall, one of them is doing the job of emergency management, and they get 8 other responsibilities that are far more challenging and compel, tie up more of their time. So when we come in here with our programs and we show up and we say, hey, we're the federal government, we're here to work with your state partners, your local partners to help you into this recovery process, and then you are constrained by a very, very narrowly defined regulatory structure that says this is what you can do and this is what you can't do. And you're dealing with this person who's hard-working but somewhat unsophisticated in their level of knowledge of the federal practices and the federal regulations. And all they want is a helping hand. So I felt as an attorney, one of the things that I could really bestow the benefit of my presence on was to advocate and make sure that if there was a way to get to yes, we found that way to get to yes, to give them those resources to help put their lives back together. So that was a very rewarding thing. So now in my retirement, I'm focused on a couple of things, keeping my dogs out of my wife's head, and I'm developing an affinity for fishing again, coupled with the fact that I started taking violin lessons to reaffirm what I did in the 5th grade. So anyways, having said that, I won't bore you any further this morning, but I want to thank you very much for everything that was bestowed upon me. Mayor Christensen, thank you for the appointment. And Barbara Walsh, it's great to see you.
Before we close the evening, we want to talk about a special Hall of Fame honoree, Ms. Diane Lind. Diane Lind worked with the Malden High School Alumni Association and was the creator of the first Hall of Fame induction back in 2014. Diane passed away a couple of years ago, but not before leaving a mark not only on the city of Malden, but also in the town of Wakefield, where I happened to meet Ms. Lind for the first time when I was a student at Wakefield High School, and she served as the English department chair, and she also taught the highest level English classes at the school. Now, I didn't meet her in those classes because I was never in them. I crossed her in the halls a few times and said hi, and she seemed nice. But beyond that, she always had time for all the students at the school, whether they were in the highest level or if there was somebody that was in a study hall with her, and she sat and went through their paper and made sure it was done right. But The only way I can describe Diane Lynn, for those of you that didn't know her, is my grandmother used to refer to a woman of elegance and class as she would say, she's a real lady. And that's what we felt of Miss Lynn. She was a real lady. She was elegant, she was classy, she was kind, she was caring. And she truly loved what she did. She truly loved who she met. And when you were with her, you felt it. So we are honoring her tonight as an honoree induction to the Hall of Fame. I think it's well deserved. And I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting that I had the honor to sit with tonight that worked with her that I think feel a very special sense of pride that she is receiving this. And I think she's looking down on this and probably smiling and probably critiquing the way I spoke tonight, which that's fine because that's what she did. But please join me in a round of applause for Diane. Just in closing, I'd like to say, I say this whenever I speak publicly, I'm truly blessed and honored and humbled to be the principal of Malden High School in a city like Malden. When I was hired many years ago by Dana Brown and I see Tom Mahoney back there to replace the legend, Fred Feldman, Tom Mahoney said to me, the people of Malden are real. It's a real city with real people. And you see, I really can't describe it beyond that. You'll see that. And some 15 years later, there's no better way to really define the city and the people that walk the streets of the city. And you can see where these streets and where these roads lead. And as I was sitting today listening to our honored guests talk to, allow me to say the word, my students, my seniors, and looking out at that crew, I felt an incredible sense of pride that maybe someday, when I'm gone, they'll be standing up here talking to a group of people, talking about their times at Malden High School. And I certainly would take great pride in that. So I thank the people of Malden for letting me kind of be hey, I'm a Chelsea kid and a Wakefield kid, but you brought me in as one of your own, so I appreciate that. But it is a special place filled with special people, and we got a chance to hear from so many of them tonight. So I say, as I say to the students every day at the end of the school day, do well, be well, have a great evening, and we'll see you back here in a couple of years. Thank you so much.